everybody. Welcome back to Mr. Haig's class, and hope you're having a good time. It's summertime, so a lot of you are, well, either you've already started your summer vacations or just about to. And I'm excited because I have summer vacation coming because I want to do just absolutely nothing and kind of refresh my brain set, because it's been, being a teacher, I go through a lot, and I would imagine my brain waves, if you were to measure it with some device, it'd be like off the charts. And you can ask any teacher. So not that I am happy that school's over, I'm just kind of glad that I can rest. But the podcast will continue. And at any rate, so today I have a very special guest, someone I've known for almost 20 years. And I have Miss Jan Venturini with me. And I guess, Jan, are you on?
I certainly am,
All
right here.
So now you're intuitive, correct?
That is correct, Jim.
Okay, so I don't want to say that you're a sage or a fortune teller or a palm reader or anything like that. But, okay, so the reason is because I've used your services many, many times. And the thing that, remember, this show is mostly for younger people, from ages 12 to about, mostly Gen Z. And the world is crazy right now, and it's with the Gaza problem, and with the Ukraine problem, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We might have a lot of problems that we may not be aware of, but right now the young people they're being introduced to a world that's very volatile and crazy. What's chaotic. In your mind?
Totally chaotic.
Why are we going through this?
Okay, here, let's go back a little bit in time. I need to say something about these young people. These young people are not like us. They come from a much higher dimension when they came in, knowing full well that they were going to be the children of transition. And the reason I say that is because the world has been repeating itself for so long, Jim. War, peace, Cold War, peace, war. It's all about power and greed. And if I was to take you back in time to the original Bible, the original Aramaic Bible, what was in there was adultery was not about what we think it is. It was about adultering God, meaning when the commandments came down to Moses, when it said, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," it meant in the words in the Aramaic language, it was that thou shalt not violate God's value, meaning do not establish a value on anything. Don't place monetary value. The reason being, everything was given to us, right? We were given all the animals, all the fruit trees and vegetables. Everything was provided, and we were told in the beginning to share with one another, with one thing not having a value over something else. Even though one may be plentiful and one may be scarce, one was not to have a value over the other item. So when we created the very first general store and created a dollar value around goods, we created the beginning of the end, meaning money became the source of all evil, quite frankly. It did. So it has been power struggles, monetary and power struggles that have created the world that we live in. And in reality, that is part of the age where you're leaving behind, which is called the Piscean age, which has nothing to do with Pisces as a birth sign. So any of you that are Pisces out there, you're beautiful, incredible beings.
Well, thank you.
Piscean, yeah, absolutely. They're some of my favorite people.
March 7, I'm a Pisces.
But the Piscean age, Jim, is about authority over us. All right, as an age, it's a patriarchal age where male rules over all, and it's about the church, and it's about controls. And so we're moving into the Aquarian age, which is a matriarchal age of authenticity, of music and art forms, of community and sharing and caring. So let's go back to this generation we're talking about. These are our saviors. These are the incredible, wonderful beings that have come from outer places. These are not children that you can tell what to do. They are children who you listen to and you advise and you help them make their own decisions. And so teachers are incredibly valuable because teachers know more than most people in the world how to bring the best out of young people. Parents are learning it, but quite frankly, parents learn from their parents, so they kind of have an old ideology coming into it where teachers don't. So teachers are our most valuable asset, quite frankly, for these young people, because the young people are saying, what is happening? What happened to climate change? We have to live in this world. You can't just strip it of everything while you're here. So what is happening right now is like sometimes you have to turn everything upside down, inside out, make all the worst be visible so that you can finally come back to what's truly important. And what is truly important is family, community, what serves ourselves and others. And no one knows that more than young people because they aren't tainted by so much, what would I say, influence. Young people really accept and grab a hold of change. They're more open to a new way of doing things. And this particular generation are technologically astute, much more so than the generations before them. And they want to create things in a way that will work for the world and everyone.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Let me stop you right there. Okay, so you're saying that they're not as easily influenced. I think they're very influenced, but it's mostly from social. I mean, look at social media. I mean,
yeah, they can be influenced by what's around them, by their friends and all that, but they still maintain this rugged person about them that I don't think we used to dress alike and act alike, and there are some that are lost. There's no question about that because social media has done tremendous damage to young people in that the conspiracy theories. In fact, I was given this information, Jim, back in the 1980s when I was teaching classes, and I used to channel entities. I call myself a phone to the other side because when I open up, I just get information from that world, the other world, the invisible world. And I had a female entity come through in the 1980s, and she said that we needed to know who we are. We needed to go inside and really know who we are. Because if we don't, she said, there will be a technology after the Y2K, after year 2000, that will cause people to be absolutely thrown into a world of absolute illusion. And they'll get caught in a whirlpool of conspiracies if they don't know who they are. So what is critical with young people is what are they being exposed to, okay? And they're being exposed to more than any other generation on this planet has ever been exposed to because of so much conspiracy theory, so much rejection within the political parties, so much denial of their needs. There's just so much going on that is radical right now. And yet, what we know about steel is that the more you temper it, the more heat you give it, the more that it has to exist within, the stronger it becomes.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me say this. Okay, so you're saying that that there is heavy influence on social media, and if we don't know, we won't be able to kind of differentiate. But you know, in a way, the social media, especially TikTok has been very, very intriguing in the way, basically in the realm that it's giving us news sources and images and videos that otherwise would never be seen in the corporate controlled media. Like you see the images of Gaza, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Congress wants to shut down TikTok, because they don't want you to see certain things. And
not only that, these young people are exposed to such a huge world. No, actually the technology, Jim, is phenomenal, and it's a gift.
I don't think they're going to be able to stop it.
Profound. But people like you who work with young people and work with media, you are so good at helping them just see within what they're observing, what works for them, how they take it into themselves, and how they work with all, because they're exposed to more in the course of a week than two generations before were exposed to in years, right? I mean, I just think about that sometimes, because I'm 81 years old. I came from a generation where I was before television, for Pete's sake, right?
Wow.
I read. Mm-hmm. All right, so if I go back and look at my world and what I was exposed to when I was, let's say, your son Cameron's age, it was 1/1000th of what he's exposed to today. And this is why young people need to be not only guided, but listened to.
Right. Oh, I agree.
They really need to be listened to. If I was to create a society today, I would have representatives of every decade working together for the world to make decisions every decade with respect for seniors, for the young, for all people working together. I think we would have a much better society. One of our biggest problems with our political system today is it's being run by too many people that are from my age, and that is unfortunately not up to the standards of today. Only people like yourself that are involved in media and work with young people have that nice cross balance between them. I love working with young people. I love giving readings to young people because their enthusiasm for life, when we channel it into what is working for them and away from all the things telling them what they can't do.
Well, don't you think technology... Okay, so let me ask you this. We're going to dive right into like what you see 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Because, we've got... Okay, we talk about social media, and the person who ends up controlling social media ends up controlling the world. I'll tell you this right now.
Absolutely.
And I hope that never happens, because social media should be free. It should be available, and people get to speak their minds. And whether you like it or not, well, that's something you deal with. But also, there's a thing called AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And I have been introducing AI to my students. Back in the day, you remember when I was creating websites, I'd have to research.
You were the first one to do the interactive ones.
Yeah,
you did phenomenal interactive websites.
And so what happened was a lot of times I had to research or I wait for the clients to give me content. Today, I just ask them to do AI. Hey, go to AI and get the information, copy and paste. You're done. And I mean, I've used AI to create exams. I used AI to get information. It's just phenomenal and so convenient. But also at the same time, I think a lot of teachers are concerned because AI will actually kind of like give them an excuse not to do the research. And we don't want a generation to do the research. Although, you know what? I don't think that's going to be true. I think they'll continue to do research. I think we underestimate Generation Z.
You know what it does, Jim? Do you know what AI does for people?
What's that?
It's every time we have a new technology that simplifies our life, that gives us more creative time. The time we need to play music, the time we need to sing, the time we need to dance, the time we need to go hiking in the woods. AI will help us take a lot of the work out of our lives so we're freer and to be doing what we love.
Well, then that makes me feel good then, because they had a lot of free time after creating their websites. I'm teaching them how to do that. So,
and you know what, Jim? I have faced it. Listen, I have had to stand up and talk to groups of people when I was in real estate, okay? And I went to Santa Cruz County, and I'd been working with computers in the 80s in Silicon Valley, and I went to Santa Cruz, and they're like, we're not going to use computers because we're different. We're totally different. We don't need computers. What happens to people is they're fearful of change.
Yeah, that's true.
And the fear of change causes them to expect the worst from everything rather than the best from everything. And in reality and truth, look how our lives have been simplified from the computer technology.
Yeah.
And I want to bring up something else, too. The engineering that created a lot of this in the 60s, their education was paid for. When we came out of the 50s, you had so many people that had been in the service. At that time, all boys went in the service. at the end of high school. They came out with money for, they had their college education paid for. Got it? There was funding for all kinds of college. And so we had a genius group of people out there in the world creating that technology. And so right now we have got to do something about freeing up money for college for kids so that more are able to go.
That would be a dream, because I'll tell you, these kids have a lot of expenses coming up. I mean, in California, the average home price right now is about almost $1 million.
Well, see, this is where I just come in and just the beautiful part about this. Okay, let's go out into the future a bit.
Yes.
This is not going to continue like this, Jim.
Okay.
All right,
I hope
quite
not.
frankly. It's going to come to a head. And the beautiful part is, I always recommend to people, pick up the book Aquarian Conspiracy by Marilyn Ferguson. She had degrees in sociology and economics, and she put it together, and I have already witnessed so much of her truth in that book. And she wrote it in the 70s, and then she redid it in the 80s, but she talked about this time, and I started seeing things intuitively when I was reading this book, but I was seeing it. And what is going to happen is that our monetary system will no longer be able to be reformed. Our social system will no longer be able to be reformed. Most of what's going on out there is going to come to a head, and with that will come a new way of doing everything. You're going to see in the future, we're going to create completely new living environments, number one. Our living environments are going to entail where cars are parked on the outside of the area, and people have the freedom within their housing, and then everything is kind of you live in communities of like-minded people. Doesn't mean you don't coexist with the world, but you can choose to be where you are. You can choose to do what you love and earn points that will earn you whatever goods you need. In other words, you have to contribute to society, and you can do that based on what you do well. All right? So, because what's going to happen is a lot of jobs are going to devolve and end with AI. We all know that, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, just like any technology.
But the beautiful part of that is that we're going to reach a part that we're going to go through some difficult times first. I can't deny that. There's going to be some things that aren't so much fun, but I want all your young people to know that the world's going to get better for them. They wouldn't think of it this way. Why would you decide or commit to come into life on a planet if there wasn't something in it for you down the road? Why?
I didn't know we had that choice.
That's right. Oh, absolutely. You choose to come in. You choose to come here. And you choose the time to come here. And so these young people we're talking about, they wanted to come in at the time when things are changing, shifting, going into a new way. And there's so much coming in. I mean, this is going to sound pretty far out, but we're going to get a whole lot of help from Pleiadians and Aryans and Arcturians, which are more advanced than we are. And there's going to be quite a thinning of the veils coming very soon. So there's going to be a whole lot happening that's going to bring things to a head and create into people a desire for community, a desire for contact, a desire to shift and change and make things balanced in the world. Because when we don't balance things, the world turns on our axis.
Well, when do you see this happening? You say 20 years, 30 years?
It's going to begin. Things are going to begin in the next 4 to 5 years, but it's going to take like to 2050 before they're all implemented. I won't see it unless I happen to live to be a very, very old person. But it's not going to happen overnight. But I will tell you this for your young people, for them to follow their hearts and do the things that make them happy. And TikTok is a powerful place to use their own intuition, Jim.
Right.
If it doesn't feel right, don't listen, don't go there. If it does, go there. It's more about, I think that this younger generation will have mastered discernment so much better than previous generations because of their unbelievable exposure to so much information.
Interesting, because I mean, there's so much information, so much happening, and I think that the wonderful thing is that we're going to have a new form of news media, independent news media.
Oh,
not these.
absolutely.
And that's the beauty
Not
of
only
it.
that, we've got a thing coming. This is going to be really interesting for them to know about this. Conspiracy theories will end because we're going to have a new way that will be coming out that is going to actually expose it immediately as a conspiracy.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to have information being given that is not accurate will actually, because of AI.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It won't really hit the streets, so to speak. Okay. It won't hit the streets because it doesn't have a factual basis to it. And so there's going to be a program within AI that will be able to dissect truth from fiction.
So like you see in driverless cars or something like that, or what?
It's very much like that, but what it's going to do is going to be very difficult for people that don't know how to speak to the truth. They will not know what to do because.
Oh, so in other words, if you hear, well, let's say, I'm a big, I don't like, let's just say Fox News. Okay, I don't like them at all.
It's not news; it's Fox Entertainment.
Yes, Fox Entertainment. But I'm just saying, like, if they spill some crap, like what happened with the voting machines, okay, that Dominion, they hacked their machines and they gave more votes to Biden over Trump. Would there be a technology that is able to let us know this is absolutely wrong?
Yeah, it would be
a
red light. Any altering towards what's going to be happening with the programs is that any altering of it will create a red alarm that will go off all over the place.
But couldn't that happen to anything, even sometimes the truth?
It will do with any. It's really fascinating because it has to do. It's really crazy, but it's embedded in the program. So what's going to be happening is that a person that starts to speak the non-truth, they'll be just kind of weeded out. It's weird.
So there's
their voice won't.
So sort of like a lie detector.
Information will fall away, so you won't be able to have Fox News. It won't work.
Oh, good. like you're saying that there would be a lie detector in these programs.
Yeah,
oh, interesting.
Built into the program. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, there's going to be some problems with it in the beginning, like there's problems with the cars driving themselves.
Oh, there's all sorts of problems.
They will get the bugs up, but here's what's going to be interesting: they're going to have programs on truth, how to speak the truth. If you want to get something done on your AI, because the AI is designed to virtually cut you off of deceit or anything that doesn't have any basis to it. In fact, if it's a new theory, let's just play a game here. If you're using AI and you're dealing with a new theory, you have to say this is a possible theory that is being worked on that has not been totally proven yet. Because if you don't say that, it'll just be eliminated.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what's going to be happening with all this is it's going to create a desire. Also, got to remember another thing that's happening, Jim. Our bodies are being downloaded. One of the reasons we had COVID hit us and push us behind closed doors is because your bodies are being advanced. You have been downloaded with so much more within your own physical form. So you are evolving mentally, or evolving emotionally, or evolving physically, or evolving spiritually. All of it's happening, and we needed to have a bit of a timeout then.
Well, I see older people in their 60s acting like they're still in their 30s. Because, I mean, we're in good shape. Yeah. We're in good shape.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm playing words. I do this thing called Wordscape. Right? It's a contest. I'm number one. I'm 81 years old. Don't you love it? I've made more words than anybody else.
That's good. Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I do all kinds of things to stimulate my mind, all right, because I have to have a good mind here to connect there. But when I look at this, what I see is a blossoming world, but I do see some disastrous areas, okay? There's going to be some chaos on the planet first, but that's okay. That's what creates the desire to come together, and what it's going to cause is the world's going to become one nation, more combined as one thing. Things will be. We won't have all this isolation of various countries. There's so much going to be going on, and one of the things is the art and music industry are really going to grow with media, along with AI. Will come advancements in all of the creative arts.
Huh.
All of them. Plus, people will be living longer.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
There will be, just for a fun thing for you, you'll be able to get up in the morning and walk through the doorway into your bathroom, and you'll be diagnosed as exactly what your needs are for that day.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So that's just kind of like, so you don't overload yourself with a bunch of supplements and vitamins. In other words, it will diagnose you right away. It really, I have to say it, we are going to become more advanced. In the next 100 years on this planet, we are going to far exceed the last 500.
Oh, wow. That's going to be something
It's
else.
going to be outrageous. And you know that. You are in a position, because you've always been cutting edge and ahead of everybody else. All right, but now you get to work with young people and helping them believe in a future that's there and to see the good in it and to separate the, when you can separate the judgmental garbage out of what is being exposed to young people and take all the creativity that's there, that's just unbelievable, and the exposure to the entire world that's there, that we can't go backwards and take things away from our young people. We have to give them more, not take things away from them.
Right.
But it's critical. It's just critical. We learn, and we also need to listen to them. They need to be listened to and respected.
Well, I do that every day. At least I try something. I don't like some of the things I hear, but it's very interesting what their mind frame is, for sure.
Well, young people get to be radical. They get to go to extremes.
Yeah, I know.
I remember in the 1960s when the hippies first came out, and I had 3 kids in the 60s, so I watched the hippie movement, but I understood it. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to go to war in Vietnam. They didn't belong there. It was a civil war. And that was the love generation that just resisted all industry, all everything. They just wanted to live in communes and smoke pot and love, love was the theme. But the reality of that was that out of that came a waking up of other ways of being. We, at least sending our young people to war, not listening to them, not giving them what they need, and yet sending them off to die in wars. That's not fair.
No, it's not.
Okay?
No, it's not. And I think, let me ask you this, though. Where do you see the United States in about 20 to 30 years? Because I particularly, and you can disagree with me, I don't see us as a war. It'll always be a military superpower, but I don't see it as a superpower as a whole. In other words, our influence will kind of die down a little bit.
United States will become a part of a greater thing, but a part, and stop being the savior of the world and the problem maker of the world, which is what they have been. They have been the unruly parent in a lot of ways of the world. And it will actually, one of the reasons other countries have free education for their young people. So a lot of the young people are ahead of ours, as we know, because of that. And what I see is a coalition, an emerging of Canada and the United States and Germany and Ukraine and many other countries out there that are in South America. We are going to become like a coalition, and all of our borders will be open, by the way.
So in other words,
freedom. We won't be so divided, and we will have freedom of movement because we're trying to function as a world, not as separate countries.
Right.
Separation is going to end.
I hope so.
And unity is what is going to be. And AI is going to be one of the big contributors to that because of everything being instantaneous. And because of the ability to communicate anywhere and everywhere, plus the fact there's going to be an awful lot going on outer planets. We are going to find a planet in the outer world that is livable, by the way. And there's going to be a lot of merging with space as well. It's not just about here, it's really it's quite exciting. I mean, I would love to be a young person today, because the world that they're going to enter into is going to be one of their own create. They're going to be able to create in that world. It's kind of like something that's never existed before.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be on the cutting edge of creating a society that really works for people and works for everyone. It's like we are the world, we are the people, and it's coming together. And what I think is going to be so powerful is that with AI will come the ability to communicate with anyone who speaks any language instantaneously. And that's what's going to help bridge all the parts of the world.
I think that's happening right now. I can actually translate to my Spanish-speaking students. You know, I have an app. I say something, the app translates it for them.
Right.
And YouTube's
And
already
that's what's going to help the world become a place and not a divided place.
Well, that's good. So what do you think they should be studying to get ready for the new technology? Because I see an International Space Station. I do see that new planet that we can reside in. I do see some countries coming together, but I do also see some things that are currently right now that won't exist anymore.
They won't exist. Well, the warmongering countries they're creating their own demise.
They are. That's what I see. Yeah.
They are creating their own demise. The one thing that's really going to be critical in the future is communication. Because what has happened, one of the negatives that has happened with texting and cell phones is learning how to communicate directly with people.
Right.
And that's why I'm glad AI is coming and more visual is coming, because 70% of communication is visual. And so we need to see the person, not text them. So communication is going to be critical. That's really important. And also understanding global issues, not just your own country.
Right.
Move beyond your country. Look at global issues. I was glad that I had friends living in Israel that worked with the Gaza Strip and Palestinians, and so I understood what was going on there a lot better than maybe someone who was just reading the newspaper. And because it, quite frankly, the Palestinians have been deprived for a long time of many things. That's why they're upset.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine that.
And so, that is something that you need. But here's the thing: when we have more women in positions at the table,
ladies,
women have had to, raising children, collaborate and cooperate. This is what they do best. When you put equal number of women in a board with men, the men have the wonderful intellectual reasoning, and women have so much more intuition and wanting everybody to win. That's what's going to make the world work better. We need more women in positions of power to help guide the men and to change things away from war and winning to cooperating. I experienced that in the courts with female attorneys. They don't work just for you. They work for an ending that really works for everybody. That's their whole goal.
That's good.
It's really fascinating.
Well, I'm glad, because I always believe that, especially for my young ladies, I definitely want them to, expand their horizons. And for my guys, I believe that they're going to have to work
they work
hard
together well.
And I want to I want them to start using their imaginations more, and definitely AI is the future. It's going to be there, and it's going to.
Yeah, imagination is critical.
It is.
Don't copy. Be an original. If I could tell these kids one thing, be an original. Be authentic. And follow your heart. And make sure that you're exposing yourself to creativity. It's critically important.
All right.
For their growth.
All right.
Very important.
Did you hear that, students? So you want to be creative. You want to be authentic. So, Jan, when do we come up with a parting shot? What do you want to say? Last few
parting
minutes.
Shot for them?
Yeah.
Love who you are. Don't look outside of yourself to be other than who you are. Who you are is absolutely perfect. It's like all the different colors of jelly beans in a stack, or all the wildflowers in a field. Being you is what we need on this planet. So honor who you are. Follow your heart, and don't be afraid to do things you've never done before.
All right. Well, there you have it, Miss Jan Venturini, intuitive, telling us what's coming up. So, guys, get out your AI textbooks and start studying. And hey, use your imagination, your creativity. I'm glad I'm a part of this world, and I get to, be alive to see a lot of this happening. So, again, thank you, Jan, for joining us. All right. Over and out. Until the next episode.